How's it going, guys? Tom here, and we're back for episode number 18 of Showdown Slam. And you join me on a very late Sunday night. As you can see, we are recording about quarter to 8 in the evening. And it's probably the first time I've played since maybe Tuesday, I want to say. I think Tuesday was about the last time I played, and the last time I actually recorded was, I think, Saturday in the day. So it's been quite a while since I've played, and since that time there has been news. You'll see why this video has the title it has about the tournament run, which I'll tell you about. I'll make that our last game that we do today. But there's also been news in that Pokemon Showdown was recently hacked as well. You can kind of see that here, that we were hacked, what is it, 17th of September. So that was just yesterday, actually, as I record this. So Saturday, 17th of September, Showdown was hacked. And what we've done is, well, what I do recommend is that if you haven't changed your password yet, do so immediately as soon as you log in. I have done that. But yeah, as this message says, really, you know, the vulnerability that exposed Pokemon Showdown has been fixed, and you know, the service was back up in a few hours. So yeah, it's pretty well managed, I've got to say, by the development team at Pokemon Showdown. I think we do need to give them you know, some credit for dealing with it as quickly as they did and as decisively as they did. But as it says here, the hacker did have a dump of database data, so usernames, passwords, things like that may have been exposed. But they have clarified that passwords are encrypted. Blah blah blah. Just reading through this for the first time as well. So if you use the same password anywhere, then which you really shouldn't do for security reasons, of course, then you know, do change the password here and in other places that you may use it as well. I don't think Pokemon Showdown actually takes email addresses or stuff, so you might just want to be wary of any usernames that you use on Pokemon Showdown that you might use on other services. So for example, I use Ptolemy. Obviously I use that on Pokemon Showdown. I also use that on YouTube and on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. I also have a Gmail address for it as well, but the passwords between all four of those accounts are all different, so hopefully that doesn't compromise me in any way. And I've just changed my Showdown password as well, so any hackers or people wanting to use my account can't do so. And if you are struggling with passwords and managing multi-passwords, I do recommend using tools out there that you can download online and use in the browser for free. One I use is called 1Password. It's really good. You just need one password to get in, and then you can create as many passwords as you need for all the online services that you're using. So definitely recommend doing that. If you're not doing so already, it just means you have that little bit of safety, and you're using different passwords for different services, and should one service get hacked or compromised, then it shouldn't affect how you use other services. So yeah, do that, bear that in mind. But we are going to get kicked off with one of two battles today. This episode today, which is supposed to be Thursday's episodes, will be one of two battles, and then we'll have a third one which I'll go through after the two matches are over. So we're on the last 2 days of Jamie Boyt's Worlds team with the updated spreads. So yeah, like I say, I haven't played this team for a little while, so it might take a bit of getting into, but we were able to go positive on Wednesday's episode, which is great news for this team, as my opponent has a Kyogre, Crobat, Smeargle, Rayquaza, Talonflame and Kangaskhan, so Intimidate's looking really nice here. I'm thinking it'll be a Crobat and Kyogre lead, or a Talonflame and Kyogre lead. I feel like Kyogre is going to lead here, so we do need to think about that. I think Gyarados will be quite good here, get some Thunder Waves off. And potentially Rayquaza as well, just to get that airlock out. Yeah, or Whimsicott for Tailwind support, I think, would be quite good here as well. So let's leave Gyarados and Whimsicott. Rayquaza and Xerneas both look quite good here. If we can get rid of that Crobat, we should be in a good position. But I also feel like Scrafty is useful here too. So how do we want to deal with this? Tell you what, let's leave Gyarados and Rayquaza, and we can have Scrafty in the back with Xerneas. And hopefully the speed control coming from the Gyarados and the Rayquaza will mean we don't have to worry about Tailwind from the Whimsicott. So it's actually Scarf Kyogre, which is really interesting. what we can do here is simply Thunder Wave it, and we can Mega Evolve the Rayquaza and Waterfall the Talonflame. I think, yeah, it should nerf it quite well. It's kind of feels like a relatively straightforward lead. I don't think an Ice Beam from a Choice Scarf Kyogre shouldn't really do too much to either of these Pokemon. Kyogre could have Thunder as well, and then it's up to the Kyogre if it wants to get locked into that, especially without the weather. So it is Brave Bird from the Talonflame, and it is Ice Beam from the Kyogre, which doesn't do enough there, which is really good. And Gyarados gets the Thunder Wave off, so that's really nice for us there, and we take out a big threat in the Talonflame as well. So Smeargle comes in. What we could do here is potentially double into it. We can go for a Waterfall. Actually, no, let's go for a Waterfall into the Smeargle. This Kyogre is stuck into Ice Beam now, and we can send in Scrafty for the Rayquaza here. Okay, that's Smeargle actually gets an evasion boost here. That's not ideal at all. We'll go for a Waterfall and a Fake Out into the Smeargle. Hopefully we get both. If not, then yeah, Smeargle goes for the Spiky Shield. Fair enough. Now we've got both of our Intimidators out here as well, which is really not good for us here. How do we want to deal with this? I think we can go for a Thunder Wave into the Smeargle, just to at least slow it down. And what we can do here is switch in Rayquaza for the Scrafty, and we can at least get Intimidate back next turn. So Smeargle goes for the Dark Void, yeah, that's fair enough. What we can do is switch in Scrafty here. So I might want to go for a double Fake Out here, a double Protect here. So what I'm actually going to do is switch in the Xerneas for the Scrafty, and we can go for a Extreme Speed into the Smeargle and get the chip we need onto it. I guess, yeah, we've kind of worked our way into a poor position here with this Smeargle. So Smeargle does just go for the Dark Void there, which is not great at all, really. And it's got even more evasion now. What we need to do here is really Dazzling Gleam. I have a feeling this Rayquaza is Life Orb. It is at half attack though, which is quite nice. So let's go for a Dazzling Gleam here and an Extreme Speed into the Rayquaza. If we can take out that Rayquaza, then we'll be in a nice spot. So yeah, it doesn't even do half to the Xerneas there. So we burn off a turn of sleep. Smeargle's still going for the Dark Void, which is fair enough. We'll go for a Dazzling Gleam, and we'll go for an Icy Wind here as well, I think. So the Extreme Speed not picking up the KO on the Rayquaza either there, which is really good. So Smeargle is sashed, isn't sashed rather. So that's good to point out there. What we can do here is Protect, and we can Extreme Speed this Rayquaza. Or we could, yeah, we can Protect here and switch in Scrafty here. Or we can Protect and, no, or we don't Protect, and we just Dazzling Gleam, switch in Scrafty, and then we can at least make sure, you know, try our best to get weather by the time this Kyogre comes in. So Xerneas goes to sleep, that's fine, we've taken max sleep turns here. This Smeargle hasn't had any speed boost by the looks of things either, so we can Dazzling Gleam here, and we will go for a knockoff into the Rayquaza slot as well. Then we can knock off that Choice Scarf as well. So Xerneas actually gets maximum sleep turns here as well, which is quite annoying. We really need to take out this Smeargle before it goes for any, well, before it starts getting speed boosts, really. So let's knock off. No, we won't actually knock off this Kyogre, actually. We'll try and keep. It'll probably want to choice itself into Ice Beam, which is fair enough. What we'll do here, though, is we'll go for a. There's no point going for a Geomancy here, I don't think. We might as well just go for a Moonblast into the Kyogre here. So let's go for a Moonblast into the Kyogre. Actually, no, we'll go for a Dazzling Gleam because we need to get this Smeargle off the field. And we will low kick the Kyogre. So Xerneas wakes up. Smeargle avoids the Dazzling Gleam, as you'd expect. Scrafty's still asleep. Kyogre's paralysed, that's really nice. So let's go for a Moonblast here into the Kyogre, and we'll continue going for the low kicks here. Yeah, does big damage onto the Kyogre, and the Kyogre is paralysed again. So we are getting some decent hacks here, shall we say. And what we'll do is switch in Rayquaza here. Because we don't really need it anymore. We've done enough damage to this Kyogre. And the Origin Pulse still does quite a lot. Misses the Rayquaza though. What we'll do here is go for a Dazzling Gleam and an Extreme Speed into the Kyogre. So Extreme Speed comes out. Smeargle takes a Dazzling Gleam as well, so that's good. So Smeargle is probably going to want to Dark Void here, and we can protect Xerneas here. Smeargle's still got minus speed as well, which is really nice, and we can Extreme Speed this Rayquaza. This Rayquaza is probably going to outspeed us and Extreme Speed us as well. Let's think about this, because yeah, this Smeargle's kind of played us a little bit here. I think we need to protect the Xerneas because the Rayquaza could just go for a Protect and a Dark Void my opponent could do here. So let's Protect with the Xerneas, and we can Extreme Speed I want to do. I also feel what Icy Wind could be the better play here. How do we want to deal with this? Let's go for the Extreme Speed onto the Smeargle here. So Rayquaza does go for the Protect. We have to hit this Extreme Speed basically. We don't, so that's really annoying. And Smeargle hits the Dark Void. It would do with that accuracy that it's got. Evasion does drop now though, so that's really great. So let's switch in the Scrafty, and we can. There's not much more we can do with Rayquaza really. Let's just Extreme Speed. Yeah. So yeah, Rayquaza does go for the Extreme Speed onto the Scrafty. Scrafty falls asleep. That's fair enough. Now let's we can Quick Guard here as well, which is really nice. So the thing is though, Scrafty hasn't taken any sleep turns yet though, so my opponent might feel pretty safe in going for an attack here. But we just need to get damage off onto this Rayquaza, so I don't see why we shouldn't double into it really. Yeah, let's go for a knockoff onto the Rayquaza and an Extreme Speed onto the Rayquaza. Smeargle goes for Follow Me, which is sensible. Yeah, we've just kind of let this Smeargle sit on the field for way too long, really. So what you can do here is go for a... Okay, we have to go for some kind of protect move here. We have to protect the Xerneas, and then we can low kick with Scrafty. Let's go for it into the Rayquaza, just in case Smeargle follows me, and we can protect the Xerneas here. So Smeargle Dark Voids, which is sensible, I guess, and Dragon Ascent actually does KO the Scrafty, which isn't great. Yeah, so we lose this to Smeargle, really, which is really frustrating. My opponent GG's there as well, which is fair enough. Yeah, there's not much we can do here. And Smeargle Dark Voids, I guess it's just trying to get the guarantee there. Yeah. This is what Smeargle can do to you. I guess really bringing the Whimsicott would have been a better play, seeing that Smeargle. So yeah, we start off with a loss, just Smeargle doing Smeargle things there. As we have a dual primal team with a Gengar, Raichu, Sneasel and Breloom, which is really interesting. So 2 fake out users here. I don't know if Breloom can use Feint, but it might be able to, but certainly Raichu and Sneasel can. And obviously the Gengar is good for trapping here. So a mix of physical and special attackers here. Excuse me. That Raichu isn't looking very friendly at all. I think what we might want to do here is lead with Scrafty. I think Gyarados is really nice here as well, but I am just worried about that Raichu right now. So we'll have... Yeah, and Whimsicott isn't looking too good here either. So we'll lead with... Let's lead with Rayquaza. We can have... No, let's lead with Rayquaza Whimsicott. We can bring in Scrafty on any potential intimidates. Or Gyarados even. Scrafty is also quite nice here, really. Nicer than the Gyarados, perhaps. We'll have Scrafty in the back with Xerneas. So it is Sneasel and Raichu here. So potentially wants to double into the Rayquaza slot, into the Whimsicott slot, sorry. Get that fake out chip and everything else. So we're not going to Mega Evolve here. In fact, what we'll do is we will switch in the... we'll just go for a Waterfall or an Icy Wind. What's nicer? Raichu might just want to Nuzzle here as well, so we have to bear that in mind. Let's switch in the Scrafty and we will Safeguard here. And hopefully after the Intimidate, maybe we can take some damage, I don't know. Yeah, so it was a double into the Rayquaza there, which is interesting. What we can do here is fake out into the Sneasel, and we can Encore the Raichu here. Raichu might want to switch out here, which is fair enough, I guess. Yeah, Raichu switches out. So Groudon comes in as well. So we'll find out if it's special as well. What we can do here is go for a... Could go for a Quick Guard here, but I want to preserve the Intimidate. So let's switch in the Rayquaza here. And we will go for a Tailwind and potentially a Moonblast next turn into that Breloom slot. Actually, at the same time, I'm not feeling like Tailwind will be that helpful to us right now. So we'll go for that maybe next turn, as Breloom does go down in one hit actually. So that indicates that Raichu is maybe sashed, or the Gengar is sashed. Usually it is the Breloom, but maybe it's Life Orb. And what we'll do here is we'll go for a Mega Evolution into the Groudon, get the Waterfall chip, and we can switch in the Scrafty here. Take another Bullet Punch potentially. So yeah, it does go into the Scrafty there. and Waterfall isn't enough to KO the Groudon, but we do get a flinch, which is really nice. So what we can do here is go for an extreme speed into the... Actually, we don't even need to do that. Let's just go for a Dragon Ascent into... No, let's not go for a Dragon Ascent. We don't really need to do that into the Groudon. But we will fake out into the Caesar. So that's 2 of my opponent's Pokemon down. 2 to go, and it's a Raichu and a Caesar. So Xerneas isn't going to be doing a whole lot now in this match because, well, it wasn't really doing a lot anyway, especially with Whimsicott out there. So I might want to... okay, so I was thinking of potentially switching out the Scrafty there so I could get Intimidate later on in the match. My opponent does forfeit the match though, unfortunately, so we're not able to play the rest of it out, but we do get a win there, so we are 1-1 for today. And to end off this match, I just want to see if I can show you a replay of a tournament run I had. So, would you know it, when I go off camera after having a really poor week of playing with Jamie Boyd's team, I actually you know, have a match. I'm just going to try and get this, you know, screen right for you. Yeah, so I actually play a match in the tournament, and you know, as it would go, I'd win it. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit funny here. That music was just playing in my headphones there. I'm just going to switch sides so you see it from my perspective as well. So yeah, it's an X-ray mirror in this tournament in the final, so that's really cool. My opponent is using Talonflame, Landorus, Aegislash, and Thunderous as well. So, you know, seems like a really well-built team. You know, double genies, X-ray is always nice. So I'm just going to try and go through this quite slowly if I can. So it's turn 1. I lead with Scrafty and Whimsicott because the Whimsicott I want to lead because I want to match any Talonflame Tailwinds, and the Scrafty because the Intimidate's nice on the Talonflame. And potentially the Landorus, which you can sometimes see as a lead, I guess. And, you know, the Rayquaza is led here as well, so the Intimidate is really paying off there. In this turn, I actually predict Talonflame to go for a quick guard, fearing that fake out from Scrafty. So I believe I actually go straight for a knockoff onto the Talonflame. Rayquaza does go for the Dragon Ascent here. What do I do here? Essentially what I could have done is knocked off into the Rayquaza and Moonblasted it, and then that would have just got me the free KO there, which would have been really nice. But we do knock off the Life Orb from the Talonflame and get some big damage on it at the same time. So this second turn, I go for a quick guard with the Scrafty, and I believe with Whimsicott I might go for a Tailwind because I'm predicting Extreme Speed plus Brave Bird essentially. So yeah, Rayquaza does go for the Extreme Speed into the Whimsicott, and I believe Talonflame goes for the Brave Bird there, which it does. So that's really good for us. And we actually do get, we do get the Moonblast off into the Rayquaza. So not even going for Tailwind just yet, but getting some big damage off on these 2 heavy physical attackers. So my opponent actually switches out the Rayquaza for the Thunderous, which I guess is fair enough. I go for a quick guard here again. My opponent, and I Encore the Talonflame into Brave Bird. The idea being if it's Brave Birding and I'm quick guarding, then it's not doing anything to me. But my opponent actually does get the Brave Bird off, so obviously going for a move with normal priority, which then turns it into Brave Bird and does big damage to the Scrafty there. So that's unfortunate, but I can still keep quick guarding it, and then this Talonflame can't do anything to me. I do safeguard here, so Thunderous can't go for any Thunder Waves. Maybe Tailwind would have been a better move here, but Thunderous is able to just take us out with Thunderbolt there. So I'm kind of... well, at this point I'll go down 3-4, but my opponent's Tailwind peters out as well, which is quite nice. Thunderous can't paralyse this Rayquaza either, so I'm in a pretty decent position here. So my opponent withdraws the Talonflame, brings out the Xerneas, and what do I go for here? I'm not exactly sure what I go for here, I can't really remember. I think I might go for an Extreme Speed into the Talonflame. Yeah, I do, which then becomes the Xerneas. I might just knock off here in the Thunderous actually, and that's really interesting as well. That Thunderbolt critical hit does like 15% to my Rayquaza, so that's really cool. And the knockoff does really big damage to the Thunderous in return, so I've got some massive chip onto a lot of my opponent's Pokemon here. Even though I'm still down 3-4, so I'm down in Pokemon. I've got loads of damage onto these, so it's just a case of, I guess, setting up for the sweep maybe. The Xerneas goes straight for a Dazzling Gleam here rather than a Geomancy, which is really nice. And the Dragon Ascent is actually able to KO the Xerneas, which is really good as well. So the score's evened up 3-3 here, which is really nice. The Rayquaza comes out. I think I'm fearing an Extreme Speed and Brave Bird again here. So I think I switch in the Scrafty. I do, yeah. Intimidate here, really nice again. And I protect the Xerneas, thinking my opponent might want to double into that slot. Which we will see my opponent does. So that's a great switch for me. Great protect as well. I think that turn was as good as I could have wanted it to be, really. And here, I just want to pause the game here because this was a really critical turn. I go for Quick Guard with the Scrafty when, really, looking back, I should have gone for the Fake Out onto either slot, really, preferably the Rayquaza. But I was thinking my opponent might want to Quick Guard here. But really, it wasn't the best play to make because what I should have been doing here is Fake Outing either one and then, Dazzling Gleam with the Xerneas. What my opponent could have done here, because I've gone for the Quick Guard, my opponent could have easily gone for the Flare Blitz into the Xerneas and a Dragon Ascent into the Xerneas. And although these Pokemon are both intimidated, I feel, the combination of those attacks, if they're doubled into the Xerneas with those two moves, would have got the KO onto the Xerneas. So that was, although this turn works out, and you'll see why in a minute, it was a really poor play on my part and could have cost me this game and the whole tournament. I think there was about 5 rounds, including this one in total. The first one I actually got a round 1 bye because my opponent didn't challenge me. But yeah, this could have essentially changed the whole game, really. All I needed to do was Fake Out onto the Rayquaza. Even if the Rayquaza had protected here, I would have got the KO onto the Talonflame with Dazzling Gleam there. So yeah, just something to bear in mind in future. And that would have made it a 3-2. There might have been some chip onto the Xerneas, but it wouldn't have got KO'd here. But yeah, the Quick Guard does go up from the Scrafty, and the Talonflame actually uses Taunt on the Scrafty, so I can't do Quick Guard anymore. But at the same time, it's not really that important because both these Pokemon, which are heavy priority users, are going to go down. Obviously, I'm not going to Geomancy there because any attack onto the Xerneas plus a Extreme Speed the next turn would have got the KO onto the Xerneas, especially if they had knocked out my Scrafty as well. And yeah, my opponent here, obviously, all they can do is send out the Thunderous, so I think it's a simple Moonblast plus. Actually, no, I do switch here, so I can preserve Fake Out for later on in the game should things go wrong. But obviously, I can just Moonblast the Thunderous here. Oh no, I go for Protect. Never mind. Maybe I was playing quite well this game, and yeah, I do all right. But I do Protect, and the Thunderous does go for the Thunderbolt into the Xerneas, and I can just finish it off with Extreme Speed here. So yeah, that was a really good game. Quite pleased that I was able to win that. And yeah, that's going to be all for today. Just wanted to show some success I had with Jamie Boyd's team. Obviously, today is the penultimate episode for this team. So yeah, tomorrow's episode, which should have been Friday's episode if I've had quite a busy week, will be the last time with Jamie Boyd's team, and then it's time to start thinking about new teams. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Something a little bit different from normal as well, showing a bit of success with this team, I guess. And yeah, I'm going to kick off recording the next video straight away, so hopefully that will go up on Monday. But yeah, until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.